Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. We begin tonight with developing news. After 13 years in prison, convicted murderer Sue Neal-Fraser is expected to taste freedom in the coming weeks. For more, we're joined by our reporter Josh Duggan outside the Supreme Court. Josh, it's understood she's been granted parole.
Kim, her supporters have been told by a family member that's the case. Tasmania's parole board doesn't publish its decisions for up to 2 months, and they don't answer questions about individual cases, so we are light on details. But it's expected she'll be freed in the coming weeks. Neal-Fraser was convicted in 2009 of murdering her former partner Bob Chappell. No body or a weapon has ever been found. Her supporters, of which he has assembled many, say this is a big day and they'll be continuing their fight with renewed vigour. Kim?
The Tasman Bridge has joined other famous landmarks around the country, turning a regal purple in honour of Her Majesty. The lights were switched on at dusk last night, almost a week on from the Queen's death. The tribute will continue over the River Derwent until dawn next Friday, following the National Day of Mourning. Well, wet weather has lashed the east coast, with parts of the state receiving relentless rain over the past 24 hours. The St Mary's area remains on flood watch, with emergency crews on the ground monitoring the situation.
They say when it rains, it pours, and that's certainly the case for the east coast.
The heaviest rainfall we've seen in the 24 hours to 3 p.m. today has been at Grey in the northeast, where we've seen 90 millimetres of rainfall.
The state's extremely wet, remains extremely wet, and obviously with the formal notification of the third consecutive La Nina, we're actually experiencing that now with the high rainfall events on the east coast.
Overnight, St Helens recorded 23 millimetres of rainfall in just 90 minutes. While wet weather caused a landslide at St Mary's Pass around 6 o'clock this morning, with the clean-up only getting underway this afternoon. The SES issuing a minor flood warning for the South Esk River. For those living in the Fingal Valley, flooding comes frequently during the year, with locals telling us they're always prepared for the worst.
If you live in those areas and you are experienced in those events, we encourage you to be prepared, encourage you to have a plan, encourage you to monitor Tas Alert, listen to the calls to action and act on those.
Heading into the weekend, the Weather Bureau is expecting the rainfall to clear to the southeast this evening.
And then tomorrow we're into northwesterly winds, so we'll see some showers about the north and west of Tasmania tomorrow. We're generally expecting around 10 to 20 millimetres, so nothing particularly heavy.
Offering some reprieve for those on flood watch. MAKENNA, BAILY, 7 Tasmania News.
Labor has slammed a state government spending on health locums and visiting medical officers. A right to information request by the opposition has revealed $54 million was spent by the Health Department in the 2021 financial year.
I will have to put in locums if I need to essentially maintain a service. So it's not a simple solution.
The response did not disclose how many people were employed in these positions or the average cost, as the data could not easily be found. The state government has held an aged care forum to work through some of the industry's biggest challenges. The Premier meeting with stakeholders and aiming to resolve patient flow issues, with many older Tasmanians stuck in hospital while they wait for a care bed.
Focusing on some very key issues, including the barriers that we see in a discharge process from hospital through to residential aged care facilities.
It was just trying to find the problems and trying to find solutions to those problems so that we could continue to work on those.
Advocacy groups, aged care providers, industry bodies and government officials all attended the session. Vulnerable Tasmanians have a new place to call home, with 28 units opening in the state's north. The 2-bedroom apartments in Ravenswood were developed by Centrecare Evolve Housing for priority applicants on the social housing list.
I love it. I love it, I love it. I walked in, I couldn't speak, I was just astounded and wondered how come I got so lucky to get such a lovely place.
They're high quality homes built to a standard that we really believe that people will enjoy and be able to stay in for as long as they need to.
The state government contributed $145,000 towards the construction of each unit. An additional 8 were sold to private buyers. The decision not to fly the Aboriginal flag at Tasmania's Parliament House is coming under scrutiny as it flies at half-mast elsewhere to recognise the Queen's passing. It's unclear exactly who made the decision, as stakeholders ask why they weren't consulted.
For Tasmanian Aboriginals, their flag is a point of pride, one they want to see flying high. However, at Parliament House, it's nowhere to be seen.
They've taken it upon themselves to decide what will happen with our flag that represents our people, and it's disgraceful.
The move also flagged by Greens leader Cassie O'Connor in Parliament earlier this week.
As we understand it, Mr Speaker, no Tasmanian Aboriginal organisation or person was asked about this removal, and Aboriginal flags are flying at half-mast on other government buildings.
Across the nation, the Australian flag is being flown at half-mast until the Queen's funeral on Monday. It's protocol for all accompanying flags to be lowered too. Tasmania's Department of Premier and Cabinet has advised government buildings they could choose to lower the Aboriginal flag or take it down completely. Staff at Parliament House did not return requests for comment on why they chose not to fly it. The Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre says while they don't support the flag being flown at half-mast either, they don't understand the lack of consultation.
The Queen represents the very institution responsible for the invasion of our country and for the lands that have been stolen from our people.
After lowering it initially, the Hobart City Council spoke to the TAC today and then raised their flag. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The number of Tasmanians drowning in the past year has risen by 129%, according to new data in the Royal Life Saving National Report. It reveals 16 people drowned, 4 in 5 were male.
The greater proportion of our drowning deaths occur in inland waterways and rivers and lakes. So again, those messages about boating safely are really important.
Best bit of safety gear you've got is your head. And making right choices and right decisions.
Concerningly, the average age of Tasmanians who have drowned is much younger than in the rest of the nation. A local endurance runner is leading the way as Australia's blood donation demand hits its highest in a decade. Jared Gibson today celebrating a major milestone after conquering his fear of needles 13 years ago.
Jared Gibson is no stranger to this lifeblood centre, rolling up his sleeve for the 300th time.
There are people out there who may not be around if it wasn't for the hour that I spend in here each fortnight.
We love our regular donors. It's really amazing for such an achievement, which is well over a decade of regular donating.
Pumping out plasma since 2009, Jared is showing no signs of stopping.
In 2 weeks' time, I donate on the Tuesday morning and then jump on a plane to London to do the London and Chicago Marathon and then fly back, and the day after I get back into Tasmania, I'm back in here again.
His dedication stemming from past work with Camp Quality.
I was paired up with a young boy who unfortunately succumbed to his disease. I don't need the blood or plasma as much as they do.
Jared's selflessness saving around 900 lives.
I actually count as 901 because I think it helps save your own life as well, because as I said, it's checks your own medical condition.
But it's still not enough.
We're needing to fill about an extra 1,200 appointments across Tasmania over the next 4 weeks.
The clinic will be open during next week's new public holiday to those inspired by Jared's story. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Junction Arts Festival will go up a gear tonight ahead of a busy weekend. Freya Wild will be the headline act with her Up Late show opening for the first time tonight. Already sold out, the performance will feature performances from renowned cabaret performer Yummy. Launceston's circus troupe Rook will also feature a few of their tricks. The show gets underway at 9 p.m. in the Duquesne Brewery and Dining Hall. And daredevil stunts and death-defying acts have thrilled audiences in Hobart for the first night of The Circus. The 2-hour spectacle features high-flying aerialists, clowns and even a human cannonball, entertaining audiences of all ages. The Hobart leg of the show will run until October 2nd before travelling to Launceston. The circus will wrap up its Tasmanian tour in Devonport in November.
North Melbourne took the upper hand in the AFLW's first crack at UTAS Stadium for this season through Vicky Wall.
The Irish woman sprinting downhill, finishes it off. Her second AFLW goal gets us going in round 4.
The Roos are 12 points ahead late in the game. The Baskerville Historics are off to a flying start with more than 240 cars speeding in for the event, as well as some local racing legends, including Don Elliott, who has reunited with his ME5 sports car, and the track itself.
I'm probably the only one left that built Baskerville Raceway. It was a long, long time ago.
Today's racing, a qualifying round before the competition kicks off tomorrow.
The qualifying is about them actually having the fastest lap time that they can, and that determines their grid position for the following day.
The wet weather causing some chaos on the track as a driver lost control of his sports sedan before walking away without any serious injuries. And in a special Friday flashback, we've caught up with Tasmanian Team of the Century icon Robert Shaw. He's reflected on some of his most memorable clashes in the coach's box and how Tasmania's famous win over Victoria in 1990 put an AFL team seriously on the agenda. Robert Shaw vividly remembers Tasmanian football's greatest day.
The crowd likes it and so does the goal umpire.
As coach, Shaw masterminded 1990's State of Origin glory, but he had a motive beyond simply beating the Big V.
We wanted to showcase Tasmania's talent to the mainland.
And the win did just that. Team Tasmania was suddenly on the AFL's agenda.
It actually came to a very interesting meeting where we were asked to vote if Tasmania had their own team, how many would consider moving back to Tasmania. It was a vast majority.
But that momentum soon vanished. When Shaw coached his last Origin game in 1993, Tasmania was playing a combined Queensland-Northern Territory side, ominously foreshadowing the future.
And you can say to this very day, with Gold Coast and GWS and these sides, we have been a victim of northern expansion.
What's worse, the Northerners won that day at Bellerive. Sean's coaching career made a big switch in 1995 when he moved from Fitzroy to Adelaide. But his first game against his old side at Football Park was a disaster, Fitzroy enjoying one of only 2 wins for the year.
That was bittersweet, mainly bitter for me.
Although retribution came in a record-breaking frenzy the following year.
By half-time, the Crows owned the record for the biggest ever second-quarter tally of 14 goals too, and a lead of 106 points with an hour to play.
The wins were sweet, but losses were tough, coaching in what was, back then, a one-team town.
I was a great coach if I won, and I was a poor Victorian coach if we lost. And that's not a slight on the Adelaide people and all. They're a fantastic culture of football, but nothing to share the headlines with.
The headline he hopes to see soon, though, is Tasmania to join the AFL.
I think it will be a yes. Doing the right thing doesn't always pay the bills, but I reckon this team will give a great account of itself in lifting Tasmania.
And seeing that map he loves flying high once again. And all that wonderful Crows content there, Kim. How good.
Oh, you had to slip that in, didn't you? Thanks, Tom.
Good evening. Plenty of rain across the state today. Hobart 12, 14 in Launceston, Burnie 15 and 16 in Devonport. A top of 19 in Strawn, 15 at Low Head, St Helens 13 and 8 at Liawini. The satellite pictures show extensive middle-level cloud over eastern and southern parts of the state, with speckled cloud developing over the northwest during the day. A large cloud band extends over the Tasman Sea and Tasmania, while frontal cloud moves over Western Victoria, South Australia and southern Western Australia, while the rest of the country remains mostly clear. Tomorrow we see a large area of low pressure approaching the west of Tasmania, directing to a northwesterly airstream over the state, while cold pressure moves to the south and a cold front extends from the low to the south of the state into New South Wales. North to northwesterly winds of 10 to 20 knots, reaching up to 20 and 30 knots in the north and central west. There's a gale wind warning for the far northwest and central north coast, and there's a strong wind warning for parts of the state, including the Banks Strait and Franklin Sound. There's flood warnings for the South Esk and Macquarie rivers, and a flood watch for the northeast and southeast catchments. 17 in Hobart tomorrow, showers, and 13 in Maydena and Oatlands. Launceston 14 showers in Devonport and 7 in Liawini. Showers also expected in Burnie, Strawn 14 and 13 at Marrawar. St Helens 15, a possible shower in Strawn, Orford partly cloudy. Showers across the state on Sunday, mainly about the west. Monday we'll see more showers mainly about the west, easing in the evening. And showers developing in the northwest on Tuesday afternoon, mainly fine elsewhere. 29 in Brisbane tomorrow, partly cloudy in Sydney, Melbourne 15 and 37 and sunny in Broome. And currently in Hobart it's cloudy and 11, Launceston also 11 and mostly cloudy, and same conditions in Devonport. And Kim, plenty of warnings across the state tomorrow, so be careful if you are out and about.
Thank you very much, Victoria. And that is all your news for now. Tom will be with you over the weekend. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you Monday. Good night.